nothing, just my dreams I can take with yo. Consider your like it's not reality terror. Started selling prices, leaving had to make compromise, can't stand up. Crack my life and over back to make that haters leave. All these rappers keep to see me, take me seriously. Lost 100 on the back, just straight back. Open records and I'm not eating back. Got my body in business, so over here to see. Took my business and in person to a different league. There you go. Don't mess it, regret it, I'll sell it, just think it. I am working. Guys, good evening, guys. Let's just wait for a little bit more. We're waiting for some more people to join us. Again, like we did before, we will be choosing people and messaging people yung mga makakatanggap po ng mga gifts natin. Looked in the mirror and I saw a big. So let's give it another couple of minutes. I'm rocking loaded with a dream to kill and save my life. Get the message and accepting my compared. What's up, guys? I'm making coin while I'm a bad bro. Haters stopping just my dreams I can take it, yo. Consider your like it's not reality terror. Started selling prices, leaving with bankrupt. Had to make some coins so I can stand up. Crack my life and over back to make that haters leave. All these fuckers keep to see me, take me seriously. Lost 100 times a practice, straight. Open records and I'm not eating back. Got my body in business, so over here to see. Took my business and in person to a different league. Don't listen, don't take it, don't think it. I hate it, don't mess it, regret it, I'll sell it, just think it. Drive it on a beat, it's not a what you see. I am working. All right, guys. Good evening. It's King Panda 4. King Panda Live, and again, we are here. We're not in our regular studio tonight because we are fixing the internet service. So it is the first time we are all simulcasting from Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So we have 3 different platforms that we are all streaming from. And we're not in our regular studio. We're back in the office because hindi pa tapos yung internet connection to sa studio. No? We're fixing it pa. The last time we tested, it was a little bit too spotty. So I don't want you guys to have any lags pagdating sa audio or video. Guys, I hope you can hear me fine. I hope the video is doing well. We're doing something different tonight. Thank you very much. We have guys on Instagram. Sorry kung medyo gumagalaw yung camera. So tonight, we'll be highlighting some questions. So, like this. Naimbag Arabili from Nevin Solomon. So we have the capability now to showcase your question. So para sagutin natin ang mga question nyo, right there, Mr. Robert Marcos says loud and clear. So meron na tayong mga gimmick ngayon, right? I can actually show you stuff now that I've been wanting for a very long time. So we have some housekeeping things that I want to discuss. So tonight we have a very special show. We are going to discuss basically ano a difference talaga ng imported na Land Cruiser at yung local na Land Cruiser. Ano ba pinakaiba? Bakit ang mahal ng isa, ang mura ng isa, tsaka ano ba itong mga pinagsasasabi na Dubai version? So I will explain everything to you guys. Kasi, one of the things that I really hate is yung naloloko yung mga tao ng mga ng mga super agents dyan na they're not giving the right information ng mga super agents na to, no? Hindi nagbibigay ng tamang informasyon, makabenta lang. So, I'm gonna give you guys the whole skinning so you guys can make the proper and informed decision. Okay? So, ito na tayo. Again, tonight we'll go over all the after we end the show tonight, we will look for 10 lucky followers, okay? 10 on Facebook, 10 on Instagram, and 10 on YouTube. So we'll be giving away 30 caps. We have a very big night tonight, and 30 keychains. So we're going to give those out tonight. Again, we will message you guys like we did before. Sa susunod, guys, i-download nyo yung app natin. I'm not sure if Zach is watching. Our developer, Zach, is building our app. So the next time mag-giveaway tayo, basta naka-register kayo sa app natin at pinili namin kayong manalo, you will get a message on your phone na panalo kayo, pati tracking number lalabas na rin. Alright? So, this is my commitment to you guys. Better content, more giveaways, a better app, a better platform, so all you guys can basically get more information. Okay. So guys, get your questions ready. We're up and running. So we're gonna go through. First of all, ang differences ng LC200 at LC300. Okay? LC200 and LC300. Okay. Solid yung cap. Alright. Okay. Ito, sabi ni Mr. Erwin Morales, kahit ano daw na kahit anong LC, tested and proven yan. I understand. But ang problema is maraming hindi nakakaintindi kung ano talaga ang difference ng imported at local na language. That's why I'm here to explain it to you guys. But first and foremost, we are here to explain ano ang difference. Kasi ang dami nagsasabi, guys, na bakit, bulok yung bagong LC300 kasi size lang. 6-cylinder lang, iba pa rin yung V8. We can't really say that yet kasi bago lang yung sasakyan. Ngayon, meron sa atin ng mga early adapters na walang pakialam kung magkano yung presyo ng kotse. Basta ako makauna, bibili ko yan. That's why you see a lot of guys driving around in LC300s now, because gusto nilang bilhin. So, let me show you guys the difference between the LC200 and LC300. And we're talking about the diesel. We're talking about the diesel version now. Now, the LC200 has a 4.5-liter twin-turbo diesel 32 gallon, 232 horsepower with 650 Newton meters of torque. Okay. 6-speed automatic transmission. Ngayon, the LC300 uses a brand new 3.3 liter twin turbo V6 diesel engine. Okay? So from 232 horsepower, tumaas siya ng 306 horsepower. Guys, that's 74 horsepower increase with a lower displacement. Okay? Parehong twin turbo engine yan, ha? You have to understand the 4.5 liter was also a twin turbo. Ang 3.3 liter, twin turbo ng V6 lang. But it's cranking up 74 more horsepower with 85 Newton meter. Guys, nagkamali yung graphic artist ko. It's 700 Newton meters of torque. Okay? It's 700 Newton meters of torque versus yung dating 615. Now, the LC300 also comes with a 10-speed automatic transmission. What does that mean? You have a lower revving engine. You don't have to just like that. So, you have to understand too, yung mga dating makina, mas hindi sila sagad. Kung titingnan nyo guys yung, I remember the Ford Expedition. Dati yung Ford Expedition, the Ocho, 270 or 240 horsepower lang siya. Ngayon, Expedition has 400 something horsepower with a 3.5 liter V6 boost. Okay? So when it comes to power for power performance between the two, mas maganda pa rin ang performance ng bago. That's why they made a better engine. They made a smaller engine. Another thing, the reason why lahat ng car companies ngayon, ladies and gentlemen, lahat ng car companies ngayon, umababa ang displacement is because they have to abide by what you call the Tokyo Agreement, which is every car company and every multinational conglomerate has to reduce their emissions, be it in their factories, be it in the cars that they produce. Every year, they signed up to reduce carbon footprint. So, give you an example of Ford. Ford, the reason why they went downplay on a lot of their other cars is because they also have cars that they cannot deviate from. Like for example, the 5-liter Mustang, the GT500. Hindi naman nila pwedeng gawing design sa GT500. Kaya nga ginawa nilang GT500, 5-liter na V8. So, there are certain things they cannot compromise with when it comes to engines because of number one, heritage, number two, branding. So other cars, they can reduce the engine size. Okay? So ito na tayo. Sa LC200 lang guys, I will give you guys a lesson on LC200. Marami pong pumapasok dito sa Pilipinas sa LC200 na sinasabi nila top of the line. The biggest lie that you guys are given, and I get this every single day. Every single day I get people who call me. Gusto ko Dubai kasi Dubai top of the line. Dubai top of the line. Dubai ganito, Dubai ganito. Well, first of all, guys, walang diesel sa Dubai. Okay? Bakit walang diesel sa Dubai? Kasi mura gasolina. Hindi nila kailangan ng diesel. Ang nagdi-diesel lang sa Dubai is yung mga truck. Okay? So, a lot of these diesel na Land Cruisers na binibenta dito sa Pilipinas, binibenta sa Africa, binibenta sa iba-ibang countries, sa Indonesia, or a lot of these other countries na gumagamit ng diesel na Land Cruiser, na binibili na sa Dubai, hindi po allocated sa Dubai yan. Allocated yan sa Jordan, sa Turkey, sa Egypt. The same reason, the same rationale ng LX450B. Pag pumunta kayo sa mga developed countries, wala naman LX450B. LX450B at the Lexus is basically a diesel Land Cruiser na Lexus. Ang ginawa nila, gumawa sa Lexus version. But it was only sold to non-Euro 5, Euro 6 countries. Bakit? Hindi sa nila Euro 4 lang. So, hindi mo sila papasa sa emissions. So, binibenta nila yan saan? Sa Hungary, not Hungary, sorry, Czech Republic, Russia has it too because hindi ganyan na strict emission. They have it in Egypt, they have it in Afghanistan, they have it in a lot of these countries. Bakit? Because hindi ganun ka-strict ang emissions nila. Dito sa Pilipinas, if you go to Lexus, you will never be able to buy the LX450B locally sa dealer, no? So, ang problem dyan is, akala ng iba, ganun lang yan. So, another thing I want to stress is, a lot of the Land Cruisers na pumapasok dito, pinapalitan lang po ng sa totoo, GXR yan. And I'll be very honest with you. Yung mga Land Cruiser na ina-armor na dumarating dito sa Pilipinas, even the ones we bring, are all GXRs. Now, in the world of Land Cruisers, there's only 5 variants sa LC200. There's GX, which is the most base model na Land Cruiser. There's the GXR, which is an upgraded version of the GX. There's the VX, the VXR, and the VXS. Okay, there was also a VXTD way back then, but they discontinued the VXTD in 2019 and 2018. Now go over the differences. Paano nyo malalaman kung yung binili nyo na Land Cruiser na Dubai is top of the line? Okay? Guys, dito nyo lang matitesting yan. Number 1, yung pindutan ng aircon sa likod. Okay? Yung pindutan ng aircon sa likod ng GXR is heated, like the photo I have shown here on our broadcast. Dipihit po siya. So, yan ang GXR. Ano po ang itsura ng VX? Ito. So, first and foremost, pag bibili ho kayo ng LC200 na Dubai, na sinasabi nila, Dubai version daw, tingnan nyo yung pilitan ng aircon sa likod. Pag sinabi nila, boss, Dubai yan, top of the line yan. Ang hindi mo madadaya, guys, yung pindutan ng aircon. Kasi hindi mo kaya palitan. Unless sa bumili ka ng panel. Okay? Bumili ka ng panel sa likod. So, marami pong nagbibenta na sasabihin sa inyo, ito, top of the line, hindi naman. Okay? Secondly, paano nyo malalaman? Yung dashboard. Ang dashboard ng VX is ganito. Ang dashboard ng GXR is kulay green. Kulay green po yung dashboard niya. So, very antiquated, very simple. Yung kulay green lang. Ito is blue and white. Pangatlo, we also see a difference. Meron siyang crawl control. Meron siyang, yan ang VX. But, guys, yung labas, madaling palitan eh. Yung body kit and all those things, madali silang palitan. But that's a VX. Okay? So, yan. Yung air-cooled seats. Yung VX, merong air-cooled, di ba? Wala. So, it depends. And then a lot of the VX cars actually have JBL systems. Okay? Diyan mo malalaman kung fully loaded talaga yung sasakyan. At isa pa, cruise control. Wala pong VX na walang cruise control. So, marami kayong makikita na Dubai version, ganito, ganun daw. Guys, hindi pwera imported yan, top of the line yan. Malaki mong pagkakamali ang naririnig ko sa mga nagbebenta na basta Dubai yan, top of the line yan. That's like the dumbest thing in the world. Even the Russian versions, the ones that they bring in here, are base model ones. Wala pong totoong executive lounge. Wala pong ganun. If Toyota never made an executive lounge. Okay? Toyota never made an Excalibur. Ang Excalibur, boss, sana lang yun. Sa pinapod lang po yun. Okay? So, anyway, that's those are the differences sa LC200. Now, sa LC, okay, now we'll go with the LC300. Okay. We have some questions here. Guys, start asking your questions na, no? KP, sabi ng China car maker, the Tank 500 is a Land Cruiser rival straight out of China. Guys, China will make a lot of cars na kamukha ng Land Cruiser, kamukha ng Mercedes G-Wagon, kamukha ng Jeep Gladiator, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. The big difference is that Toyota is already established. So at the end of the day, the China vehicles are going to be cheaper. But if you're willing to take that chance, and I for one can attest na yung Geely worth buying right nila. Kasi sa akin, yung dealer support napakalaking bagay. So, yung Tank 500, ang problem dyan is kung wala naman dealer dito sa Pilipinas, tapos merong buwang na nag-import na, saan mo papagawa? Diba? Saan ka kukuha ng spare parts? That's the biggest problem. Okay? In terms of, sabi nun, guys, until you see the actual unit, don't believe in chismis. Okay, kalokohan yun. Alright, so, we have another question. Magaan ba i-maneho ang 300 versus 200? Hey, tanong ni Jack, LA. The LC200 is a rugged, guys, no? If you look at the evolution of the Land Cruiser, nag-umpisa yan sa dating Land Cruiser. We start with the modern ones, called the LC80. Yun ang pinaka-modern. So you have the LC80. The LC80 is a very rough and tumble car. Sobrang tibay, sobrang low maintenance ng kotse, sobrang rugged. It's ganun kasarap sakyan, but it's a Land Cruiser. Diba? Right now, we probably get one for 1.9. We have one for sale very soon. It's just going through some restoration. And then you have the LC100, which is more luxurious. And then you have the LC105, which is in between the LC100 and the LC200. We call that the transition model, not the LC105. And then you go to the LC200. Now, the LC200 versus the LC300, I've seen the LC300. I haven't had a chance to review it, which I will be reviewing very soon. Yung LC200 is more rugged than the LC300. The LC300 is a luxury car. Hello? Mahina audio. Kanina malakas Kanina malakas yung audio. Ngayon mahina lang. Alright, so compare me LC200 sa LC300. Malayo ang difference. The LC300, the LC200, listen to that. Let me get the microphone. So the LC200 versus the LC300, guys, the LC300 is a luxury vehicle na. So napakalayo na ng difference na. That's why the LC300, they came up with what they call the GRS version, which is their off-road version. Hold on. We will put this on. Right. Guys, how's that? How's that? Better? Can you guys hear me fine? Yan, better ba? I hope you guys can hear me better. So the LC300 is a lot more of a luxury version na compared to the LC200. That's the whole reason why they came up with much better. Okay, thanks guys. Sorry, we're going through technical stuff, so I'm really sorry guys. Pasensya na. Guys, ang daming equipment, and we're trying to fix a lot of things fast so that we can come up with a better show. Yung LC300 is coming up with what they call the GRS version. So what they did with the LC300 is basically they took a Lexus. They took the Lexus LX and turned it into a Land Cruiser. So lahat ng technology, yung air suspension, yung multimedia system, and of course, Lexus is always 5 years behind pagdating sa technology when it comes to in-cabin technology, the reason that a lot of people told me bakit ganon is ang mga Hapon, when they come to change things, they want to make sure na maayos talaga siya. Diba? Gusto nila maayos talaga. So, ayaw nilang magkakabit sila ng bagong technology kasi hindi pa nila subok. So, it takes them a while to figure out. So, they've tested all the interfaces on the LX Lexus. So now they transferred all that technology to the LC300. Now, we're gonna go through the difference between may tanong si Ava. All right, Ava June Gascon from Toyota Lipa, Batangas. What's up, Ava? Ang question is, Boss KP, ilan years bago mag-change ang model ng LC? The LC200 was unprecedented, It was probably one of their longest, if you choose between the LC200. Okay. Astro, I will answer your question later on, but let's just finish these questions here. We have some questions kasi sa Instagram, and we have Facebook as well. So no, pasensya na. The problem with what happened with the Land Cruiser was unprecedented. The LC200 is just a pinaka-longest running nila na model yan. It spanned, I think, from 2009 or 2008 all the way to 2020 or 2021 with a facelift in between. Medyo nag-facelift siya, nagbago yung dashboard, nagbago yung interior. So there were changes along the way, Pero for a full body style change, it took them from 2011 years. So that's unprecedented. That's usually why, because it's a top selling model. They don't feel the need to change the look na ng kotse. Okay? Same with the G-Wagon. The G-Wagon, they haven't changed the body style. Actually, they did a very small
they did a very small refresh of the grill and the headlight, ang dami nagalit. So kasi ang mga German puro mga puro mga purist talaga, no? So again, the LC200 model change was very unprecedented. Okay? So, all right. Now, ano ang difference daw na teka, sagutin muna natin tong si Astro Jam. Okay, may question si Astro Jam. Guys, this is from Instagram. Sir KP, ask ko lang, if you choose between the LC300 and Patrol, what will it be? Last time you answer mo Patrol. Will LC300 meet your expectations or Patrol pa rin? For me, value for money, I'd pick the Patrol. Why? It's a lot bigger car. Wala naman akong bias towards either diesel or gasolina, no? So I'm fine with gasolina. The Patrol is a lot smoother ride, a lot better. Although the new LC300 rides amazingly well, may laban na sa Patrol. But ang issue ko pa rin is mahal. So sa akin, value for money, Patrol pa rin ako, especially the Royale, no? Patrol pa rin tayo eh. Sorry. Pero okay, now we go back to the issue at hand. Ano ang difference between we have a difference between ano ang difference between local and imported na LC. 300, 200, it doesn't matter. Okay, what's the difference? Okay, guys, and first and foremost, they all come from one fucking factory. So for people to say na mas maganda ang Dubai version na, by the way, wala naman talagang Dubai version, I would rather call it GCC spec, Gulf Coast spec, ano? Dito kasi nakasanayan natin tawagin Dubai version eh. Hindi naman talaga Dubai version. Wala naman Dubai version eh. But for the sake of argument, we'll call it GCC spec. Yung mga GCC spec na yan, the reason why sa ibang bansa, meron silang mga fully loaded top-of-the-line version is because marami hong bumibili niyan doon. Okay? The reason why dito sa Philippines, mas konti po ang choices natin is because we are a third world country. Okay? Although maraming may pera dito sa atin, the market for luxury cars here in the Philippines is still a fraction of what it is overseas. So ang dami mga nagsasabi, oh, basura yan, local yan, ganito yan, ganito yan. Guys, pareho lang siya. The only difference is, mas konti ang options and yung pinapadala nila dito, mas nagagamit nyo yung options. Why pay 7.8 million for an LC300 or 8.2 million for a Middle East spec LC300 na merong air suspension kung makakabili ka ng local na fully loaded na ZX na for 5.7? Right? Bakit? Para masabi mo lang na naka-Dubai ka. Ano, I mean, there's no rhyme or reason, If you guys want, you can buy a 5.7 million peso LC300 sa local dealer natin, no? And spend another 500,000. Bili ka ng magandang mags, bili ka ng body kit, palagyan mo ng magandang stereo, o gastusan mo na 1 milyon. You're still at 6.7 million. Which is a far cry from spending 8.2, 8.4 million for a Dubai version LC300. Guys, huwag kayong magpapaloko. I mean, it doesn't, there's a reason why my dad's been around for 40 years in the business. We've prided ourselves with bringing in cars that make sense. If the car doesn't make sense, even if you have a buyer that's willing to buy it, I'd rather not sell it to the guy. Why? Because paano pinaghirapan niyo yung pera eh. So, if I'm gonna let somebody throw the money away, they might as well do it with somebody else, not me. Because ayoko mamura ako ng ibang tao. Sabihin ng ibang tao, puta, walang pakialam yan, nagbenta lang yan. Kahit ano, para lang kumita. Diba? So, the whole point is, the local version is the same as the other versions. The only difference is, mas konti ang options. And trust me, guys, when I say, yung mga options na wala tayo dito, hindi nyo naman magagamit. For example, the crawl control. You know, yun dito, alam ko yung ZX may crawl control ata. Even the VX may crawl control. As a matter of fact, yung VX premium natin na LC200 na binibenta dati dito, mas loaded pa siya kesa sa mga Dubai version na binili nyo. How do I say that? Pinakita ko sa inyo kanina yung aircon. Yung aircon pa lang ibang-iba na. You know? Ito yung sinasabi nilang aircon ng mga VX na galing Dubai. Whereas ang totoong VX na aircon is ganito. So, okay, guys, huwag kayong papaloko. I mean, you can pay, you know, you pay more for the car, di ba? Secondly, you know, there's this thing na sinasabi nila yung Dubai version daw na suspension mas maganda. Let me give you guys some education when it comes to suspension because we do a lot of armoring. And if there's something that we really take pride ourselves of is suspension, no? The reason why masasabi ko na mas maganda yung suspension natin sa Pilipinas na LC200 is because yung mga LC200 natin dito pang city driving. So, mas malambot siya, mas masarap siyang sakyan, mas matatag siya, mas hindi siya makaldad. Now, bakit siya nakasubsob? Yung sinasabi niyo na subsob, ano? Yung subsob, ano? Merong questions, Jerry, I'll answer your question. To put that to rest, kasi ang daming mga nagtatanong yan. That is a great question. Okay? Bakit nakasubsob yung local version? First of all, yung makina mo nasa harap. The suspension that they use for the Philippine market is for city driving. So natural, mabigat yung harap mo, bubababa siya ng konti. Now, why is the Dubai version nakataas? Guys, ginagamit yan sa bundok, ginagamit yan sa buhangin. So kung nakasubsob yung sasakyan, pinasok mo sa buhangin yan, paano ka? E di may stuck ka sa buhangin. Right? So, the cars that they sell in different countries, angkop yan sa terrain ng bansa na yun. So, there's a reason why these LC200s dati, yung sinasabi niya, oh, mas maganda Dubai suspension. Kung gagamitin mo yan sa bundok, eh, bigyan mo nga ako ng isang tao dito sa Pilipinas na bumili ng LC200 na pinangbundok yung LC200 niya. Eh, may mga kaibigan nga ako na 2015 yung LC200 eh. Tinatakbo, wala pang 20,000 kasi takot sila madumihan yung auto. Diba? So that's a big difference eh. You know, people have this misconception na puro mali. You know, kasi we have this colonial mentality na pag imported maganda. Guys, ako nag-i-import ako ng sasakyan. We import cars. We sell imported cars. We sell luxury cars. But there are certain cars that make sense. There are certain cars that don't make sense. Kung merong binibenta sa dealer dito ho kayo bumili. Bakit? Number one, yung warranty. Number two, yung support and all these things, sasakit lang ulo nyo. I mean, I can help. I have friends that fix these cars, but the biggest problem that a lot of people have this thing in their head is pag imported, maganda. Guys, parehong pinanggalingan niya na factory sa Japan. So, paano naging mas maganda yung sa isang bansa kaysa dun sa isa? Diba? As a matter of fact, mas maganda yung binibenta sa bansa na yun para dun sa bansa na yun kasi the technology and the specifications angkop siya para sa bansa na yun. Diba? Alright. Ito yung question ni Jerry Concepcion. KP, bakit yung 70 series around 2.8 million pesos sa Dubai? Selling dito 4.1. Guys, anytime you import, the same reason why ang sapatos na Nike mas mura sa Amerika kaysa dito sa Pilipinas. You have to, number one, you have to import the car. Sa shipping pa lang, ang shipping ng kotse is nasa mga $2,000 to $3,000 na sa isang 20-footer. Ngayon, kung nag-40-footer ka, makakatipid ka na maybe 500 per car. So magkano na yon? 200,000-300,000 na yon. So nasa 3.2 ka na. Access mo pa, Jerry. Magkano ang duties natin dito sa Pilipinas? Dito sa Pilipinas, we have the highest tax pagdating sa imported vehicles, imported na motor. Mahal lahat. So, pangatlo, Jerry, kung ikaw negosyante ka, kung magkano ba binili dun sa Dubai yan, bebenta mo pareho presyo dito. Siyempre, you're taking a risk. Kikita ka dapat, di ba? So that's the biggest problem is when I see comments sa page ko na, sa Amerika, 3 million lang yan. Bakit dito 7 million? Guys, number one, you have to figure it din. Makakabili ba kayo sa Amerika? Sa US, there's such a thing called a non-export agreement. You cannot just walk into a dealership sa US at bibili ka ng sasakyan, tapos kinabukasan, pupunta ka sa pier, isi-ship mo yung kotse sa Pilipinas. Hindi pwede yun. Bakit? Hindi tatanggapin sa pier. Bakit? Wala kang papeles eh. Hihingihan ka ng NSO, hihingihan ka ng registration. Pangalawa, pag pumunta ka sa dealer sa Amerika, sa Canada, or sa Europe, hihingihan ka, papipirmahan ka ng non-export contract. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Pag in-export mo yung sasakyan, didemanda ka ng kumpanya, which is probably not very binding, especially kung hindi ka naman citizen doon, but it's still a deterrent. So, para makabili ka ng sasakyan, kamukha kami, we have to go through brokers. When you have to go through brokers, you have to pay a certain fee. When you pay a certain fee, tataas yung cost mo. So, yan ang problema dito sa atin is people have this thing in their head na kung anong presyo doon, dapat presyo dito, ganun din. Guys, hindi ganun ang mundo. Diba? So, I'm explaining it to you. KP, ang laki naman ng patong nila. 2.8 lang doon, 4.1 dito. That's a difference of 1.3 million. Guys, kung nakita nyo kung magkano ang tax dito sa Pilipinas, baka mahilo kayo. Ang kitaan namin as importers and sellers ng mga kotse na to, swerte ka na if you make 10 to 15%. Napakalaki pa ng risk. Because hindi mo alam kung lalabas sa customs, kung lulubog yung barko, kung madidelay ng 60 days, hindi mo alam eh. So, I hope you guys understand, we're here to provide a service and sell cars, but at the same time, we also have to maintain our profit margins, and at the same time, we also have to run a business, and may mga sinisweldohan din tayong tao. So, we're running a business. So, okay. Tsaka, guys, alisin nyo sa utak nyo na ang laki namin pumatong. Kung 1980s to, 1990s, na nag-umpisa yung dad ko back then, laki ng patong. Bakit? Kasi wala pa masyadong dealers eh. Ngayon, guys, ang dami ng dealer dito. Kaya, sinasabi ko sa inyo, kung pwede kayong bumili sa local, bumili kayo sa local. Kasi, mas madali kausap ang local, especially sa Land Cruiser. No? Alright? So, hope you guys understand that. Ito. KP, ko lang kung ano maganda suspension para okay. Hindi tayo ganyan tanong, hindi tayo, wala tayo doon sa tanong na yun eh. Pero okay. Alright, si Andre Haldon. Ang question niya is, ano magandang suspension para sa FJ Cruiser? Yung kinabit ko sa FJ Cruiser ko maganda. It's the Pro Fender adjustable, 8-way adjustable, maganda siya. You could also try Mike SD. Mike, I'll answer your question in a bit. KP, maganda yung kinabit ko na Pro Fender. I heard maganda rin yung BP51. Also very good suspension. So try mo yung dalawa. Puntahan mo si Rugged Rigs or si Autobot. Rugged Rigs, we have JM Ong. Sa Autobot, we have Randy Lau. So, pakaibigan po natin lahat yan. Okay. Ano pa? Okay, ito. Gaganda ng questions natin. Guys, keep the questions coming. This is what I love. Okay, we have two. Ito, here. Mike SD. Wish the Philippines would reduce import tax even if from select countries lang, Japan and US. Pare, above our pay grade natin yan. Hindi natin pwedeng pakialaman yan. Kay David Roquillo, ilang porsyento ang agwat ng imported dealers sa local dealers? Hard to say eh. Hard to say eh. Ang question is, ano daw agwat ng imported versus local dealers, meaning gray market. Guys, it really depends eh. Depende sa kotse. I'll give you a very perfect example. The Ford Bronco. The new Ford Bronco ngayon na 2021, yung full size, which we have one coming in. Kaisa-isa lang. It's very hard to buy in the US. I was able to pay an exorbitant amount above MSRP. I think we paid over $1 million over MSRP. No? You pay $1 million over MSRP, tapos bayad ka pa ng tax, bayad ka pa ng shipping, tapos ang delay pa. So, sa local dealer, wala naman. So, medyo swerte kami doon. Pero, that's why hindi po lahat ng mga kotse na meron dito sa dealer, binibenta namin. Kasi it doesn't make sense eh. The local dealer will always have an advantage in bringing in these cars. Bakit? Kasa sila eh. They bring it in at cost. They get it at a very good price. Whereas kami, we have to go to the dealer and pay retail price. Tapos babayad ka pa ng tax, bayad ka pa ng shipping. Kung hindi ka makabili doon, babayad ka pa ng broker. So a lot of these things, it doesn't make sense na, di ba? Kaya hindi po lahat ini-import natin. No? Okay. Alright. Ito. Ganda ng mga questions natin, guys. Ito. Okay. Boss KP. The LC300 is the upgraded version to LX of the Lexus. How about the new LX600 comparison to the LX570, aside from the body upgrade? Based on what I heard from my friends in Japan and a couple of my friends sa Lexus sa US, the LX600 is going to be a totally different vehicle. Ang sabi nga niya sa akin is the computer system is so complicated that if you're not a dealer, it will be very hard to fix. Kasi everything is by key. Most dealers don't even have that capability. Kaya nga, ang saklap ng telecom system natin dito sa Pilipinas because everything is transmitted through data na. Sometimes the data centers overseas have to be open for a certain time para ma-download ng mga dealers dito sa atin. But the LX600 versus the LX570 is the same reason the LC200 to the LC300. The same. Totally different car na. Let's wait and see. I heard 2022 siya lalabas. Right? Okay. So, guys, I love your questions. Please keep coming up with your questions. Okay. Ang magandang question dito. Alright, si Benson. Do you recommend tuning the LC200 to increase the horsepower and torque? Guys, I have a lot of friends na nagtutune ng kotse. So I hope they don't get offended sa sasabihin ko. When I was younger, I used to love tweaking cars. As a matter of fact, pati yung Camry ko nung college, putya, 300 horsepower ata. Tapos silagyan ko malaking exhaust, nakamalaking mags ako, when I was studying in the US, Pero as you age, you start realizing the more shit you do to a car, the shorter the lifespan. Okay? From a very, very, very common sense perspective, yung mga engineers, Benson, ng Toyota, ilang taon nag-aral yan para i-develop yung pinakamatinong makina na pwede nilang ilabas para yung mga may-ari hindi sumakit ang ulo. And here we are, we buy a brand new car, dadali natin sa tuning company para pakialaman, tumaas yung horsepower, tumaas yung torque. Bakit? Kasi hindi tayo kontento. So, sa akin, when I buy a car, gusto kong mataas ang horsepower, bili ako ng sports car. Hindi ako bibili LC200. Kasi ang dami nagsasabi, the same reason na yung Prado, I drive, my daily driver is a Prado. We have a 2015 na Prado, which I'm in love with. I love the car. Thanks to my cousin. He sold it to me for very good price and I love it. But, ang reklamo ng mga tao, yung Prado daw ang bagal. Well, guys, hindi naman race car yan eh. So, hindi daw makahatak. Well, gusto mo makahatak, bili ka ng Mustang, bili ka ng Miata, bili ka ng GTR. Gusto mo na matulin. The Prado and the LC200 was not designed to be driven fast. It was designed to fit a lot of people, 5'7" people because of the jump seat, or pang daily driving. Hindi siya pang karera. So, sa akin, to go back to your question, to make it short, sorry, medyo mahaba. Why? Why would you tune a car unless na it's a race car? Ngayon, kung kinakarera mo yan, gusto mo mas malakas ang horsepower, like, the Yaris, you bring it to the track, the Yaris GR, you bring it to the track, okay siya. Pero, it's an LC200. What do you expect out of the car? The same reason why yung mga tao bibili ng armored sa akin. Pare, baka hindi makatakbo yan. Guys, first and foremost, hindi ako mag-a-armor ng kotse hindi makatakbo. Pangalawa, if you guys are going to expect that the car is going to perform, an armored car is going to perform the same way as a regular car, well, you're fucking insane. Because we're adding 6, 7, 800, 900 kilos to a car. Kung ikaw, dagdagan ka na 100 kilo putya, hindi ka rin makakatakbo na maayos, di ba? Same way. The car's job is to protect. So, to answer your question, I don't recommend tuning a car kasi it just fucks it up, di ba? Doesn't make sense. All right? All right. Boss KP. All right. Boss KP, mas matipid ba LC300 versus the LC200? I have no idea, guys. Hindi ko pa, I haven't driven the LC300 long enough to, meron kaming 2-3 LC300 ngayon in a armor. It's, so, hindi ko pa siya talaga naman the LC200, guys, hindi naman talaga siya matipid Di 8 yan. So, malakas pa rin sa crudo yan. Difference lang is mas murang crudo kaysa sa gasolina. Right? So, that's a difference, okay? Okay, Nelson Rodriguez, what is the advantage of the V6 engine LC300 compared to the V8 engine of the LC200? I think the advantage is it will be more fuel efficient. It emits less pollution. And it's a new engine. mas matipid siguro because it's a 6-cylinder diesel na supercharged na twin turbo versus a V8 na kahit ano sabihin mo, V8 mas malakas pa rin ang konsumo. To answer your question, I think the difference between the new engine versus the old engine is, number one, it's newer, it's better technology. That's about it. You know, that's the whole reason why it was created. Okay. All right. Mr. Valera, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Valera. I appreciate the thanks, guys. This is why we do this. It's because it's for you guys, you know. Hopefully we can impart knowledge. Hindi naman ako nagyayabang na, marami akong alam, but the small knowledge that I know, I love to impart to you guys because this is the only way that I can do it. Na, we have 240,000 followers, guys, in our Facebook page, and we have 30,000, 40,000 followers on YouTube, subscribers now on YouTube. We have close to 20,000 followers on Instagram. So guys, this is the only way we can do it, and I really appreciate you guys. So, okay, Daniel Cabrera. Ano tong question niya? Thoughts on the Porsche Cayenne? The interior feels like a VW. Do the older models have a truer Porsche feel? Well, Daniel, you have to also understand that Porsche is owned by Volkswagen. So the same reason why, I remember when my really good friend from Indonesia, it was a Diablo, it had the same radio as a Jetta, back then. It was a Diablo. It was a Diablo. It had the same radio as a Jetta. And when I got into his car, we're on our way to Vegas at that time. Galing kami LA, Papunta kami in Vegas. Si Tommy, sabi ko sa kanya, he spent like $360,000 on this car, and it has a radio of a Jetta. What can I say, man? Never have been a big fan of the Cayenne. I've never liked it. I think it's a waste of a name, the Porsche. Compared to the Urus, which is the Lamborghini Urus, more practical, but then again, more expensive. I mean, you have to be working for Farmally to be able to afford it. But I wasn't a big fan of the Cayenne. When I was in the States, I almost bought one, a Turbo S. This was back in 2005, I believe. I drove it for about 3 days, So I wasn't a big fan of it. So any answer you get out of me is going to be biased against it, pare. So I think I'm not the best person to ask. But when it comes to the 911, I'm a big fan. Okay? All right. If the LC300 or Ford Bronco, okay. All right, here you go. If the LC300 or Ford Bronco were brought from you or other importer, would the local dealers accept them for services, or will they charge you with a special fee or even deny service? Right. First and foremost, the Bronco, definitely not. Because Ford doesn't sell the Bronco here. I don't think they will. Then again, Ford will never tell me that anyway. But so for service, marami naman shops. One of the shops I use here in Manila is Speedy Fix. For high-end cars, it's Titan Auto Works in Quezon Ave. And for all my cars na nabebenta ko and all the cars that I personally use, family, friends, everyone, I send it to Speedy Fix in San Juan. Look for Andrew D. or Mig Herrera. I will post their info mamaya. Okay? As far as the LC300, na imported. Case-to-case basis. There's some dealers that accept, there are some dealers that don't. I heard sa mga probinsya, and I will not name the probinsya, pag hindi daw binili sa kanila, even if binili mo sa Manila yung sasakyan and pinaservice mo sa kanila, hindi nila tatanggapin. Dapat binili mo yung sasakyan sa kanila. For me, honestly, opinion ko lang is it's kind of stupid. Why? Even guys, even yung even yung mga imported na kotse, like Mercedes, BMW, or any car for that matter. Um, in any dealership throughout the world, 60 to 70% of a dealership's income comes from service. So, imagine kung hindi sa'yo nanggaling yung kotse, which is hindi mo naman kaya i-supply yung buong market, no? Especially the dealers here. Yung sa servicing mo, yung nabenta mo lang. Di ba? Kung imported yan, gusto pa service sa'yo, nag-charge sila ng registration fee, which is kind of stupid, I think, because it deters people. For Mercedes, I believe it's like ₱1 million for an S-Class, or 2 million or 3 million pesos to register a car para mapaservice mo lang doon. Hindi consumable yun, guys, ha? Fee lang yun para ma-enroll yung kotse doon. Kala mo college, kailangan na enrollment. But for me, kung imported yung kotse, gusto pagawa sa'yo, edi gawin mo. Hindi naman sila nakiklaim ng warranty and they'll still pay. But so I don't understand the whole concept of pag hindi na binili sa amin yung kotse at gray market yan, hindi namin sa service. So that's why a lot of independent shops thrive, which is also a good thing because I have a lot of friends who own these shops. No? So sa akin, hindi ko magets eh. But then again, problema nila yun, di ba? So anyway, that's to answer your question. Okay. Okay, ito, may question dito. Okay, yung tungkol sa CAP, you're welcome, Dan. Okay. Can we debunk the misconception about Dubai, US, local, and converted from Japan? Follow-up question. Is it really worth it to buy Subic Land Cruisers, the one from right-hand drive to left-hand drive? Sa akin, guys, it's more of a safety issue. If the car was built as a right-hand drive, pag kinonvert mo yan ng left-hand drive, unless na lahat ng ginamit mong pyesa is exactly baliktad nung dati and original, there's going to be a difference in the way you drive it. There's going to be a difference in turning radius. There's going to be a difference in performance of the vehicle. So, sa akin yun, kung pinapakailaman yung auto eh. That's why, there's a reason why the market shies away from right-hand drive converted cars. Bakit? It's because converted siya. There's a difference. Mas mura. I mean, if you don't mind the problems going forward, makalawang and all these things, I mean, meron mga surplus na dumating, yung tinawag nilang chop-chop, na chop yung bubong, tapos in-assemble na lang dito. So if you don't mind those, okay lang. Pero para sa akin personally, I'd rather buy a car na matino kaysa yung converted. Sa akin, just for me, So some guys might not care. Diba? Pero sa akin, big factor yun because it's a safety issue for me. Okay? Okay. Ito, good evening kapag mga important registration. Okay. Alright. Ito, gandang question to. Good evening, sir. Kapag mga imported cars po ba, hindi masyado nagkaka-issue sa registration sa LTO since imported? Bro, kaya lang Joseph Christian Salvador. Joseph, kaya lang naman magkaka-issue sa registration is kung hindi mo binayaran yung tax ng tama. Okay? Ganito yan. Pagpasok ng auto, babayaran mo tax. Pag nabayaran mo tax yan, you use a broker, magta-transmit sila sa LTO, gagawa ang LTO ngayon ng CSR. So, ang CP, which is Certificate of Payment from LTO, gets transmitted over to the from customs, yung CP galing customs gets transmitted over to the LTO for creation of the CSR, which is the consumer stock report or something like that, CSR. I can't remember what C stands for, pero stock report, certificate of stock report, which is basically proving that the car came in and maayos ang papel niya. So once may CSR na at nabenta yung sasakyan, ngayon you become the first registered owner. Ngayon, the only reason magkakaproblema yan is kung yung CP mo hindi na-transmit sa LTO. Ibig sabihin, walang binayaran na tax. O kaya pag na-transmit yung CP at nagka-problema sa LTO, ibig sabihin may magic na nangyari. Pero the system, the LTO, the customs and the LTO system is so efficient now na hindi mo madadaya yan. Okay, so kung bumili ka ng imported tapos hindi mailabas yung papel ng kotse, is usually may problema yan. Okay, sa amin, we've never had a problem except there are some instances wherein yung serial number, nagkaka-transpose yung numbers, but these are all clerical problems na pwede naman i-fix later on. Okay? Alright, ano pa question? Dito, may question ba tayo dito? Guys, ang ganda, ganda. I love it, I love it. Thank you very much, guys. I love your questions. Okay, sandali. Okay, ito pa. Alright. Si Rob Will Marcos. Are the imported variant of LC200 are petrol engine or diesel? Petrol engine can produce 409 650 torque. Okay. There's diesel and there's petrol. Ang imported na LC200 kasi bihira ang may gusto ng gasolina kasi malakas na gas nga eh, 'di ba? You're one of the few ones na nagtatanong. Ako mas gusto ko yung gasolina kasi susarap tumakbo eh. Right? I know ginugol mo yan. So, you know, susarap talaga ang gasolina. But the fact is, we're a diesel country. So lahat sa atin dito gusto diesel. So wala tayong choice, 'di ba? So that's the reason why people import diesel cars. Is because diesel. You know, sa imported, meron diesel, meron ding gasolina. Okay? The LC200 ng gasolina, it's a 5.7 liter. The same engine as the LX570. Okay? Alright. Ganon pa rin po ang pananaw nila, kompetensya nila mga importers, kaya di po nila tinatanggap. Well, you know, okay, Mr. Gallardo, okay, sa akin naniniwala ako, sa negosyo, there's no such thing as competition. Dealer ka. Meron kang malaking lugar na nakalagay Toyota, meron kang malaking lugar na nakalagay Mercedes. Meron kang malaking tindahan na nakalagay Audi, Porsche, Subaru. Diba? So, ang kalaban mo, guys like me, Luxury Cars Manila, na nasa internet, andito, nagsasalita sa inyo, eh, wala naman ako service facility, wala naman akong lugar na nakasulat na malaki na karatula na, wala naman akong building. So, what I don't understand is why would they be threatened by small guys like us na nag-i-import ng sasakyan? Negosyo lang naman po tayo eh. Hindi naman po tayo nanggugulo ng iba, di ba? So, pananaw nila, kompetensya. Ang rational nila, kaya nila hindi tinatanggap yung service kasi sa competition bumili. Guys, tama ba yon? You know, o pare, ayaw na kitang kalaro kasi yung kalaro mo, kalabang ko, ayaw ko na dyan. Ano tayo, bata? Di ba? Eh kung pagkakakitaan mo naman yung kalaro nung isa, bakit hindi mo pagkakitaan yun? Di ba? Kasi nakakalaro niya dun, kalaro niya, kaaway mo. Hindi na kayo maglalaro. Di ba? Para naman bata yun, di ba? It doesn't make sense. But anyway, that's their prerogative, di ba? So, yun lang sinasabi ko. Alright. Alright. So, guys, we had a very good exchange tonight. Ito, meron isang question si Omig. So KP, how much does it cost to import a car from the US to the Philippines, and how long does it take to arrive? Mahabang kwento yan, guys. So you have to call me or message me and we'll talk. Okay, but it heavily depends on what car, when, where is it coming from in the US, and how. So there's a lot of factors that determine. So, guys, anyway, I think we're caught up with all the questions. Um, we're using this software called Be Live, and I'm really, really, really impressed by it. Ang ganda. So we're gonna transfer it over to the studio. We're gonna be using this platform from now on kasi nakakapag-stream tayo both sa YouTube and on Facebook as well, and on Instagram sa ating telephone. Unfortunately, wala pang Instagram sa desktop. So, guys, thank you very much. I really appreciate the support. We will do more of these live. We're gonna do once a week. We're gonna come up with topics. We're gonna come up with more surprises for all you guys. Next week we're gonna have a better show. I think we have something planned for next week. I have to consult the staff, and we're trying to figure out what topic we're gonna come up with. We're gonna make sure that it's fun. Okay. So, guys, thank you very much for the exchange. So, si Mr. Mangasser. Okay, Jay Mangasser. Boss KP, when we will see you have a long ride up north using your Diavel? Hindi pa. Actually, ulan ng ulan. Hindi ko magamit yung Diavel ngayon eh. We already put the new exhaust, and ever since I put the new exhaust, hindi ko pa siya nagagamit, no? So, okay, Lipa City. All right, here we have another question. Dan, do we have an idea on the parts availability of Chinese and Korean cars on the market right now? RE SsangYong, GAC, GAC, Geely. Dan, all I can tell you is Geely. I have a cousin who owns a dealership, and they are required to stock, I think, 1 or 2 million pesos worth of parts. So, and this is cost, cost, hindi retail, cost yan. So, Geely I'm very familiar with. SsangYong I'm not familiar with, but when it comes to Geely, kampante ako. I have a cousin who owns a dealership. He owns Geely Fairview. So, siyan kampante ako. Pero, yung iba, I'm not very familiar with. So, anyway. So, guys, thank you very much. I really appreciate the time you guys spent. I know how long did we spend this time? Kaming counter natin. Wala. 73 minutes and 38 seconds sa kwentuhan natin, no? Napaka nakakataba ng puso na nakikita namin kayo. Queen Panda and I are very, very happy that we can provide this type of information to you guys. And, I hope you guys keep supporting us. Hindi po kayo magsawa sa kakatangkilig sa atin. And next week, we'll be back for another show. We have several videos that we're going to shoot this coming week, and hopefully we can upload it on YouTube as well. Teka. Meron tayong ito si John Eric Bubuli. Apart from destroying smuggled cars by BOC, do they have other alternative? John, you have to ask the BOC. Kasi hindi po tayo BOC. Para sa akin, I'd rather not comment. That's a different issue. So I hope you understand kung hindi ako mag-comment. Hindi kita dinededma. It's just something that I think we shouldn't even touch. sila po ang may responsibilidad niyan at hindi tayo. Alright? So, eto, may request at suggestion. Ano ho ang request at suggestion? Next topic, Sir KP, Chinese car brands that bought or have the biggest market share on famous and huge automotive brands. Very good. Sige, subukan natin. Tingnan natin, right? Alright? Anyway, guys, thank you very much. Ano to? Let's see. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate your time. And see you soon. Stay tuned. We will be PMing all of you, well, 10 of you soon, para sa inyong address, phone number, at pangalan para sa mga caps na pamimigay natin. Alright? Thank you very much, guys. Remember, huwag kang